Hello, YouTube. It is 6/13/2019. I'm here to go ahead and clear some things up when it comes to the term homophobia and transphobia. Y'all know, even though I'm of the LGBTQ community, I don't like to really talk on these subjects too tough because it's always a headache. It always sparks some darn gone controversy. But I think it's time for me to finally clear the air on this darn on term that's being used out of context. Actually, they're not using it out of context per se. They're ignorant on the terminology, but we're going to get into it. But what made me go ahead and do this after seeing so many people misuse the term phobia, specifically homophobic, transphobic. I'm hearing a lot of people say that just because you don't have a fear of gay people, you don't have a fear of trans people, you just don't like them for whatever reason, whether it's usually based off your religious doctrine, which most of the time is either Christian or Muslim or anything that has descended from the Catholic origin of Roman Christianity. It definitely don't descend from the actual Native American or African origin roots, no matter how many times people try to put it as such. If you actually go to the root of the Kemet or to Native American culture, neither one of those groups actually practice in homophobia or transphobia. So it's very weird when I see so many brown skinned and black people, perpetuate this, but at the same time act like they're so-called conscious and woke and that they're not following in the white man's, doctrine and all that, but you're still holding on to that particular part of their said doctrine. So what made me bring this up is I was, scrolling through my Instagram, and I came across my favorite, one of my favorite games, Mortal Kombat. And this is Pride Month, and Mortal Kombat had their logo changed to the rainbow, celebrating Pride Month. Honey, everybody was in their darn on feelings. Let me go ahead and show y'all some of the darn on messages that got all these gamers panties in a bunch, honey. So as you can tell, honey, you would have thought that doggone Mortal Kombat done added a transgender character, or they done turned Scorpion into a woman. They done turned Zendaya into a transsexual. You would have thought it was something of that caliber that would have had these people panties in a bunch. Now I can understand if they would have made Zendaya a transgender, or if they would have turned darn on Sub Zero into a woman or some shit. He's a transgender man. I can understand. But you telling me y'all getting y'all in y'all feelings based off of a temporary logo change that's only for the month of June? Y'all act like they done permanently changed the logo, but then y'all will be the main ones talking about somebody sensitive in this day and age of 2019. But you're the ones on somebody else's platform on their Instagram expressing your disdain, and then talking about I'm not darn on homophobic or transphobic. But you darn on felt the need to comment your darn on discuss to the point you talking about protesting a game, not because they added the LGBTQ character, which I still wouldn't see a problem with that. I mean, you're talking about a character where you have characters like Baraka and Zendaya and all of them that supposed to be aliens and stuff. Anyways, I wouldn't see what's too out of the norm where you might have a transgender alien or whatever. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, in the context of what Mortal Kombat is supposed to be about. You have characters that can shoot acid out their mouth, that can fly, that can shoot out fire, that can shoot out ice. What is so disturbing about a transgender or a gay or a lesbian character? It's not like, what's that game called, Grand Theft Auto or San Andreas, where they actually depicting sexual acts in the actual in the game or whatever. The characters are fighting, but they just changed the mere logo, honey, and all these people had their panties in a bunch. So this is what I had to say about it. And then somebody had the audacity to comment underneath me, and I got to actually pull it up on my phone to quote them specifically. I know y'all going to actually see it on the screen, but I'm just going to pull it up right now for my notes. So the person responding back to me is homophobia is the dumbest word ever created. Phobia means fear of something. I'm not afraid of homosexuals, which this is not the only person I've heard say this stuff. I've heard plenty of people use this same rhetoric in the conscious community, but we're going to get on to them in a moment. I just don't like homosexuals nor the forceful agenda it carries. The whole phobic term is ignorant. Now, once again, I don't know what's forceful about changing the logo that belongs to Mortal Kombat to a rainbow. It's not like they darn gonna forcing you to buy it. Like, I don't understand this forceful terminology. No, what's forceful is when you force me to darn gonna stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, or I'm sentenced to darn going in a school suspension. What's forceful is I have to wear my hair straight or put a relaxer in it or wear a wig. I can't wear my hair like this on graduation day or I have to sit out. That's what's forceful. What's forceful is you telling me my hair is nappy, and every time I do a motherfucking video, somebody wants to call me. Okay, like I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, but what's being forceful is you telling me my hair is nappy. I need to do something about it, or I can't report on the news. We seen the news anchor, and I will flash her picture right here, who caught flat for wearing her natural hair out. But then some of these men will complain about why women wearing weaves. But y'all don't darn gonna stand up for the women in the workforce who are trying to wear their natural hair. Where is y'all at when their jobs are at risk? Are you providing them with a job at your black business? Hell, even when you're put in a position of power, you're not hiring the natural darn on sister on your payroll. So don't be darn on quick to talk about when somebody has to have a weave in. That's the forceful central. That's what's being forced upon people. But darn on having a character on Empire or any other show or changing up a logo where you can easily change the channel, you don't have to buy anything from them. That's not a forceful agenda boo. But needless to say, this is what I responded back to this fool. So I simply said, actually, the word phobia, which originates from Greece, has a multifaceted definition which includes disdain towards something. Exactly what force agenda is being set by a symbol temporarily being shown as a rainbow. Some of y'all are so sensitive and irrational. What is ironically ignorant is you trying to state the word homophobic is a misnomer when you directly state a hatred towards gays. Fully learn all the meanings of a word first before trying to correct somebody on it. So that was my statement in response to that person. And I actually want to expand that not only to this person, but to everybody who uses that terminology and is facetious to act like the word doesn't have a multifaceted meaning. Because I even hear people who supposed to be self-proclaimed darn on experts, people who actually have degrees in psychiatry. And before y'all try to point out any individual, it actually this goes to several people. I've seen several people on YouTube who say they have degrees in psychiatry, and one particularly, the irony, has a degree in childhood psychiatry. Post been making this honey been trying to create that damn school longer than darn on Sheree been trying to make that darn on Chateau and the A baby. And both of them, hell, even Sheree done finally darn on got the Chateau together. Yet we still trying to figure out when the darn on school post been opening up. Now we supposed to be seeing a grand opening come August of this year. Honey, Mr. Thing done pulled the date back while looking a little bit rough and his eyes shifty, but that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But you know, Mr. Childhood Psychiatrist, people on here who supposed to have degrees in English. And it's like, this what gets me. How in the hell do you have a background in English and then be the main one sitting up on here and acting like a word cannot have a multifaceted meaning that can actually be different than the previous meaning depending on the context of what you said? And me, I should be the last person to have to correct somebody on that, considering that I'm a C average student. Y'all know I love to read and I love to read. But in English, honey, I was a C student. unless it was dealing with the actual reading, such as poetry or, you know, quoting Shakespeare and all of that. That's where I got my A's and B's from. But when it came to the traditional English, like the past and present participle, the object of the gerund, and all of that shit, you know, senior project, you had to create your word cited pages. You had to know where to put the brackets and stuff at to include your sources. You had to do a whole word cited page where you had to make sure everything was grammatically correct. I'm so glad they got rid of that shit in school now. Y'all would never know the struggle that some of us had to do with that darn on senior project and making sure everything was grammatically correct down to the word cited page. But even with that, you went to school and got a degree in English. And then you hop your ass up on YouTube and then act like the word phobia don't have a multifaceted meaning. Just like the word bitch, if I was to use it in 3 different contexts, it can mean 3 different things. Like, I can say this bitch done had a whole nother set of darn on puppies. Her ass is about to go to the darn on pound and get motherfucking darn on noodle. I'm sick of this. These 2 dogs, they need to get spayed and neutered. They not about to have this the 4th goddamn set of bitches that they done had. And then I turn around and respond to somebody and say, bitch, please. Oh, bitch, please. And then I turn around and call this person a trifling lowdown bitch. So you notice that I used the term bitch 3 times. And the word meant something different every single time. From the traditional sense of a female dog to my good girl pal, you know, kindly dismisses like, oh, bitch, please, to actually calling somebody a low down trifling bitch. So notice the same word used 3 times can have a whole different meaning depending on the context in which you say it. So just like with phobia, phobia can mean a fear of something or it can mean a disdain for something. So for people who have a hatred or any sort of aversion towards LGBT, that is the same thing as phobia. Just because you don't fear LGBT does not mean that you're not homophobic or transphobic. Just like when you have Nazi skinheads holding up tiki torches talking about they're not afraid of Muslims, that's still Islamic phobia. That's an outright hatred on somebody who ain't done shit nothing to you, but darn gonna live their truth and live their darn gonna life. You don't have to have them over at your house. You don't have to darn gonna be ace boom coons with them. Just let people be. Like I can't stand this darn on shit. When I see this darn on phobia talk across it, and it's like, even when I see stories on YouTube where it's not even pertaining to LGBT, I see people bring them up and they're gonna always speak down and this, that, and the third. Go as far as to say gays need to be stoned, that they all going to hell and all this. But this the same group of people who claim to be woke, but you darn gonna practicing the darn gonna traditional darn gonna biblical scriptures because you get all that shit from the Bible. The same Bible that also justifies your ass being submissive to your man. The same Bible that justifies your ass being stoned, but the darn gone husband can have multiple wives, but that shit ain't in the vice versa. That's not of darn gone ancient chemic teachings. Because if you actually go to the root source of your African darn gone roots, you would notice that back in Africa, you actually had women who can have multiple husbands. You know, polyandry, I think that's the correct word for it. Y'all know I'm a country bitch, so anytime there's a word with more than 7 letters and 3 vowels, I tend to fuck it up, but I'll put the word up here. But in spite of my lack of pronunciation, y'all know what I'm trying to darn on convey nonetheless. But, you know, it's the female version of a polygamist. So back in the ancient teachings of Africa, you had women who held high positions. You had men who held high positions. But nowadays, people go and still be quoting this Bible indirectly, even when they claim that they're not religious. talking about how the woman should be submissive to the man and how the woman is wrong if she do this, that, and the motherfucking third. How gays are internal and going to hell, but you don't darn gonna keep that same energy for your adulterous darn gone friend, your gluttony darn gone mama, your incestuous darn gone cousin, your pedophilia uncle. You don't keep that same energy, which is actually spoken more in that darn gone Bible than that darn gone one scripture. Because when I hear about LGBTs, it ain't that's only restricted to like a mini section in the darn gone Bible. Ain't that's only restricted to like Leviticus. I do believe it's in Leviticus. That's it. But you actually darn gone ignore the darn gone commandments, and those are the main highlights that supposed to set the president of the most darn gone important sins that you don't supposed to darn gone do. Thou shalt not lie, steal, commit adultery, etc. Which you darn gonna let your family and friends get through all day with, but you want darn gonna talk about some darn gone two people in the same union together and have the audacity to compare it to somebody being a pedophile. Really, bitch? But see, this is why I don't darn gonna do this types of videos, because I would easily darn gonna get in my darn gonna feelings, and this would be a 2-hour darn gonna video getting these motherfuckers together. But this is not the video for that. I just wanted to make a video just pointing out how the word phobia can have multifaceted meanings, and how if you ever hear somebody say that they're not afraid of gay people and they're not afraid of transsexuals, feel free to call them out and say, you're still homophobic. That the word still can mean that you have a hatred towards them, that you have a disdain for them. Tell them to go back to 2nd grade and learn context clues. Because I'm so sick and tired of motherfuckers jumping up on this bitch. And especially ones who are facetious. Because I'm not going to say that they're dumb. I refuse to believe that somebody who has a background in English or has managed to go to school and get a psychiatry degree. And that ties in together, because for you to be a psychiatrist, you got to be well spoken and have a very broad vernacular when it comes to English. Because when it comes to psychiatry, you have to know those words. You actually have to take English as default. Matter of fact, I think you have to go as far as to take English 115 up to 135 as a prerequisite to even have a psychiatry degree, because you have to be very well spoken in the English language. You have to know about terminology such as what is a misnomer, words that can have a multifaceted meaning, in addition to knowing about certain disorders, knowing about like dissociative identity disorder, bipolar, and etc. So being equipped with all this jargon of vernacular in your repertoire, in your brain, I refuse to believe that you are ignorant when it comes to the term homophobia being used as a place of having a disdain as opposed to fear. I just refuse that somebody just naturally don't know that, and you went and got a darn on psychiatry degree, you went and got an English degree. I might can believe that from some of these self-proclaimed experts that got their degree from YouTube Academy and searching. They got their darn on minor in Google searching. I can possibly understand it for them. But for you to have a traditional background in anything relating to English, psychiatry, I'm not here for it. Especially if you darn gonna have a minor. I mean, especially if you have a specialty and darn gone childhood psychiatry, and you supposed to be darn gone coming up with the darn gone school, the darn gone school in the sky that's never came to the ground to this day. Back to life, back to reality. Maybe if you put darn gone half as much energy into your business endeavors and making sure that they succeed. If first you don't succeed, baby, try again. Baby, try again. Maybe if you darn gonna try again on darn gonna putting that energy towards your business endeavors, you can finally get your darn gonna school open. Or you can finally get your business off the ground, because this is not just targeted towards him, but this is targeted towards anybody. Whether you are a school teacher trying to get your pay up, Or are you a principal trying to get your own school? Or are you somebody who has a background in English and you trying to get your own practice started up? You trying to get your school started up. If you darn gonna transform that homophobic energy, that negativity, and turn it into a positive and put it towards your own darn gone stuff, maybe you can darn gonna see something for you instead of darn gonna focusing on what somebody else is doing. So that's my message within this video. Stop focusing on what you hate and darn gonna focus on what you darn gonna want to be. Darn gonna uplift yourself instead of darn gonna trying to dwell on somebody else and what they got going on. Because like with me, I don't fuck with darn on Christians. I don't fuck with nobody of the religious faith. But I know that there are some good people who are just misguided and happen to follow that. I'm not going to sit up on here and damn everybody. I'm not going to darn gonna make dedicated videos and go in all day on something that I don't prefer. I'm going to be Beyonce to the bullshit and pay it dust. But instead, you give life and hatred and negative energy on a constant basis, even down to these darn on people on Instagram. You could have just scrolled by. Okay, you didn't like this particular post from Mortal Kombat. You could have scrolled your ass through. How is it being forced upon you and you have the ability to scroll through the shit? What I can't scroll through is everybody on code in the South discriminating against black people who have an urban name. They looking at where my address is, and I'm darn going set harder on getting a loan compared to somebody in a better area of town. My hair is kinky. I either have to do something with it, such as flat iron or put a wig on, or I can't get this particular job because I look too ethnic. I look a little bit too black. That's what is being forced upon people. Not darn going, oh, there's a gay character on TV. Oh, they decided to add a lesbian onto the show. Turn the motherfucking channel, bitch. Turn the channel, jackass. So that's my darn gone 2 cents on that. Y'all feel free to leave y'all comments down below. Even the ones who disagree, like I said, unlike some certain other people who don't want to have the conversation, they be quick to block motherfuckers. Honey, as long as you come at me correct, you can darn gonna express your disdain for anything that I see. I welcome negative opinions just as much as the positive. Let's get the conversation started. I'd love to know y'all thoughts on this. Share, thumbs up or thumbs down. And I'll see y'all soon with more videos, hopefully on a more positive note, because like I said, these darn on types of videos be getting me in my feelings, and I don't be trying to do these types of videos too often. So the next video is going to be hopefully on something a lot more uplifting and positive as opposed to this, because like I said, I don't like dwelling in the negative. But anyways, leave y'all comments and I'll see y'all soon. Mwah.